People need to have faith in the central bank that we...
Do you trust the Federal Reserve, the Fed as it's called? Do you have confidence in the way they're handling inflation? The actions of the Federal Reserve has a massive impact on the American economy. That means you and me. Here's a super brief rundown on the Federal Reserve. Then I want to ask you a question. The Federal Reserve is the central bank of the United States, and even though it acts as an independent agency, it's still part of the federal government. Some call it a bank for banks. Their goal is to encourage high employment and economic growth while also keeping inflation under control. The Fed has a number of tools to utilize, but one key tool is its control over interest rates. The same way we borrow money from banks, banks have to borrow money as well. And that's where the Fed comes in. And when banks borrow money from the Fed gets to decide what interest rates the banks will pay on their loans. When the economy is sluggish, they lower the rates to stimulate economy. When the economy is too hot, threatening inflation, they can increase rates till things slow down and stabilize. The decision on manipulating rates are made by 12 leaders within the Fed called the Federal Open Market Committee. You probably know the name of Jerome Powell. He's the Fed chairman appointed by the president. The decisions these 12 people make has a huge impact on all of us in one way or another. That's essentially the rundown on the Federal Reserve. So now here we are in the middle of an inflationary moment that during much of 21 was being called transitory, and Chairman Powell, he warned against acting prematurely to counteract rising prices.
Fed Chair Jay Powell reiterating that inflation has increased notably in recent months, but does remain transitory.
As the economy reopens, it would be a mistake to act prematurely.
It almost seems that high inflation caught the Fed off guard somehow. And now with inflation raging, harsh measures are needed to calm things down. Inflation seems to be cooling a bit in the month of October, but inflation is still at a 40-year high. The Fed's actions of raising rates has thrown ice water on the housing market, and now they're coming for jobs next. To cool an economy, the flow of money has to be curtailed, and making stuff more expensive slows the flow. And job loss is the response to that. Fewer dollars chasing fewer goods means fewer workers needed to make those goods. The Bank of America is projecting 175,000 jobs per month will be lost starting next year. Amazon this week just announced they're laying off 10,000 workers. As you can expect, with acute pain being felt in wallets and purses across the country, the public now questions, who's watching the baby? Most say, had the Fed started earlier to tamp down growth, they wouldn't have to be slamming on the brakes so abruptly now to bring the economy to heel, causing much more damage than needed. Of course, that's an easy conclusion to draw, considering that solution now seems pretty obvious. Chairman Powell cleared up his definition of transitory, but in my view, the action of the Fed, or lack of it, speaks much louder than his words.
So I think the word transitory has different meanings to different people. To many, it carries a sense of short-lived. We tend to use it to mean that it won't leave a permanent mark in the form of higher inflation. I think it's probably a good time to retire that word and try to.
It makes me wonder, did these professionals misinterpret the signals the economy was sending, or did they just flat out blow it? And as much respect as I have for these people, personally, I'm praying it was an error in judgment and not incompetence. So I ask you, do you trust the Fed like Chairman Powell is asking us to do?
People need to have faith in the central bank that we will do that. But
I'd sure love to know. If you like this video, tell a friend. Give it a like to help me spread the word, and subscribe so you know when the next one drops. As always, I appreciate you and your time. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.